Mississippi app. Of course, you can always find us too on that local SuperTalk Mississippi radio station. But don't forget to watch us. We are on your computer, your mobile device. Just head on over to SuperTalk TV. You'll see I'm not alone in the studio. No shark attacks here, but in the Delta, you do have good catfish, but they've never killed anybody, have they, William or Will?
Yeah, I was going to ask you how I was going to follow up shark attack guy, but hey, we have Guy from Delta.
We have Guy from Delta. No, not at all. Cleveland-based entrepreneur Will Bradham joining us. He's a long track record of success there in the Delta and giving back, which all are good things. I love that one of our longtime listeners of Good Things and friends of the show, Abe Draper, actually said, hey, Will's up to some really good there in the Delta. You need to get him down and on the show and talk about it. I'm just sorry you have to follow the shark hero, but you know what? We all have a hero. We're all a hero in our own right. How about that, Will?
I'm going to give it the college try right now. Yeah.
Okay, so how many businesses do you currently have going on in the Delta?
Currently, right now, we've 5. Yeah.
So where are those different businesses?
So my healthcare company, Right at Home, we operate in 13 counties in North Mississippi, anywhere from the Delta over to East Mississippi, Oxford, that area.
And what's its mission?
We're providing non-medical home care to the elderly and disabled. Very short story, but
yeah.
my father got lung cancer in 1996, and we decided to keep him at home until he passed. And so if we hadn't had people at home helping with Dad, it would have been impossible.
Right.
So, flash forward, 14 years, and I started a company that does that, and we see a lot of people on a daily basis. So
doing God's work.
It's a feel-good business. You don't get into that business if you're trying to become a millionaire.
Absolutely not. But I know a lot of families are grateful for that when that time comes and they need that type of service they can trust.
Yeah, and unfortunately, nobody knows what to do with that until the day it happens. It's
right.
not like there's a lot of preamble to this where they're teaching people, this is what you do when mom or dad or grandmother or grandfather gets sick and has to be homebound.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do? Nobody knows. And so then
there's no pamphlet for that.
It really becomes a very stressful situation. So we try to make it as easy as we can.
So that's one. Now we got 4 more. Keep and count.
So Delta Maids, it's a housekeeping and janitorial company. We service 6 counties in North Mississippi, just keeping people's homes clean. And, there's a need for that, too. People
mm-hmm.
don't want to do it on their off weekends, and both parents are working. Right. Yeah. I mean, I started it because I was not going to clean. So it's been doing well. We opened that in 12. I've got a rental property company. We manage some properties that I own and basically a couple other commercial properties. So I got out of that business a while back. It's a nightmare. Then I took over the Lenny's Grill and Subs there in Cleveland back in 19. That's been a good business for us. I thought I was going to always shy away from restaurants because I worked in the food service industry for so long and saw those guys and gals struggling, but it's great. It provides a lot of jobs, and it's
At what point? So there has to be a story behind that. Will you just see the Lenny Sub shop? Is it? I mean, obviously, it needed an opportunity for a new owner. I mean, no one just comes in and takes a thriving business necessarily takes over. Why? What did you see there? What was the purpose it was fulfilling there in Cleveland that you felt like it didn't need to close its doors?
They turned the lock on it one night, and so that's when I was. To me, I see something and I go, can I fix it? And that may not be the best idea in the world. There's been a lot of headaches with my mentality on that, but I just thought, this will work. I can get it to work, and we haven't looked back. It's been a successful business, and at the end of the day, it's providing 15, 16 jobs for people that
there in Cleveland would make a big difference.
It does. I mean, every little bit helps.
They're not going to easily find another job in Cleveland as quickly as they could in a larger metropolitan area.
Right. And I wanted it to be with a company that's got a decent track record, So
that's number 4 if I'm keeping up. Do we have a 5th one?
Yeah, number 5, we just opened up end of March back to healthcare, and I saw a need for an adult day center. And so a lot of people refer to them as adult day cares. I think that sounds very remedial. Mm-hmm. So we call it Pinnacle Adult Day Center, and it's, again, for the elderly and disabled. So the initial part with Right at Home is that we're coming in and we're helping them with things like their ADLs, activities of daily living, getting up, getting dressed, getting them a hot meal, keeping the house clean and safe for them. Then what happens? And a lot of these people, our clients, their families are, out of the picture absent. So the only person seeing them on a daily basis is one of my caregivers. That makes me a little sad. Mm-hmm. So with the adult day center, it fills in that gap of them being able to have social time with their peers. Mm-hmm. We provide an activity, transportation to and from. It's a nice, safe environment for them because you don't know if they've got heat or air during the winter or summer months. We do at the facility, and a meal. So it gives them a lot of that social interaction that you just don't get.
And I can imagine that they enjoy it.
They love it.
And then obviously the ones that have family members who maybe still have to work or have their kids of their own still live in a habit, they're so grateful for an opportunity for their loved one to get more social activity and get out of the house. I mean, really, mm-hmm. That's important. That's a huge piece of the wellness component is connection and interaction, socializing.
Well, and one of the wild things that you see is, and I guess I never thought about this, but we've got some young adults that have whatever they grew up with, where they were not able to attend school, or once they age out of that 12th grade of school, if they're able to go, and they don't go to college, but they still have to have constant care. How does the parent work?
So this is the adults with disability who aren't necessarily also elderly.
Correct. It's elderly and disabled. Correct.
Yeah.
So anybody over the age of, I think with the day center you have to be 21. With the healthcare component you have to be 18. So and you would I never really thought about it like that, but there's a lot of people out there that are mine and your age, way younger, mm-hmm. that have to have a lot of care. Mm-hmm. Just to get through a daily basis.
To have something social, they still want to feel involved and connected, and all of those things play back into all the other pieces of their health sort of as well. Will, where did you get this? If I see a need, I want to fix it. Did you pick up strays as a kid? Do you have a lot of stray cats and dogs at home?
You would think. And just me and the dog and the two kids. That's it. But I don't know. My dad was God love him, was a very generous man. He was very stern. If you ever talked to him, you would think he was going to murder you. But I saw him do a lot of things that went unchecked. And I guess maybe I picked it up from him. Both my parents are great. And I just decided, why not if I'm going to do the businesses, let's do the feel-good businesses. And they may not be as, super cool as everything else. Some people would just let that, the restaurant just, it's done, it's over with. I can see potential in certain things, and I'm not done. So I've got a couple more in the pot right now.
See the potential too in the Mississippi Delta. I know you're a graduate of Delta State, but why the Delta? Why stay with an entrepreneurial mind like you? Obviously, some business skills to keep 5 businesses plus more afloat. Why invest in the Mississippi Delta?
I think if everybody has the mindset that we're not going to invest here and we're going to go off to the big cities, nothing wrong with, Jackson, Memphis, Nashville, these other places. That's great. 2 things, there's a ton of competition in the bigger cities. So does it level up the type of business you're doing? Absolutely. But if we pull away from all the Delta towns and don't reinvest in them, I've seen what happens in the Delta towns that you don't reinvest in. And so I made a decision. I'm fully invested in there. It's not like I'm not doing business elsewhere in the state, but that's my wheelhouse. And so
you graduated from Delta State. Where did you grow up?
Clarksdale, Mississippi.
So you grew up in Clarksdale. You got educated in the Delta. So Cleveland, is that where you and your kids, is that home for you guys?
It was. We're in Oxford now. Okay. So I've got my kids part-time, so I spend about 8 to 10 days every 2 weeks in Oxford, and then I come back to Cleveland, and that's when I do work.
What's the mileage between Cleveland and Oxford?
From my office to my house in Oxford, it is 98 miles exactly.
It's so funny, the things that you know from University of Southern Miss to Terry, Mississippi was 88 miles from my dorm room to my parents' driveway. It's just funny the things that when you drive back and forth.
Because it's nonstop.
Because it was nonstop for you. 98 miles. You went 20 more miles for me one way or the other. But still, I think it's great that you didn't just leave what you had started there sort of in Cleveland, that you recognize that there is growth and good things to do, and we're not stopping there. Stick with us. We got more with Will Come Mississippi app. Hope you know you can find us too on that local SuperTalk Mississippi radio station, but don't forget to watch us. We are on your computer, your mobile device. Just head on over to SuperTalk TV. We are continuing our conversation with Will Bradham. He is a Cleveland-based entrepreneur. He's got 5 businesses that we know about so far, some in the work, but the most important thing is you love to give back and you feel like there's good things to still do there in the Delta region, which I think is really cool. Being an entrepreneur, though, is hard. Like, why did you go that route, Will? I mean, even you could have gotten into something that was a little more secure or less up and down, but what drew you to, like, hey, I want to do this myself. I want to see something start and flourish, or not?
The short story's dad was an entrepreneur, and he came from absolutely nothing and started a phenomenal business, and I always wanted to do that. But I went the safe route after college and worked in corporate America for 10 years. And I didn't like it just got to where it was mundane and way, way, way too structured. And I
started itching.
I like to, whether it's going to fail or succeed, I'd rather make the 100% decision on my own. And so I enjoy it. There's a lot of days that I cuss it, and then there's days like today where I'm sitting in Jackson, Mississippi, and I'm hanging out on a radio show. So, I've got such great people that work for me now that have been there for a long time that I can go and do the things I want, especially spend a lot of time with my kids. So that's a big bonus, too.
What are some of the hardest things, though, that are facing entrepreneurs right now? Like, for those listening, maybe they have a dream or a vision to step out. Maybe they're wanting to save the sub shop that's in their community or whatever XYZ that is. But, everything you hear is negative. Everything you hear is scary in terms of taking those kinds of risk. I mean, what's the real life kind of risk reward on taking a gamble in your small town?
I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It is tough. Everything depends on the economy. So when the economy is not bustling and we've got high gas prices, and that determines everything that we purchase, whether it's an employee getting from place to place or you're purchasing products to use in your restaurant. It's been tough the last 3.5, 4 years. So you've got to be prepared and focus on when things are good, we put some stuff back in the good times. And when things are bad, you better be relying on that stuff you put back. Kind of like the squirrel putting back some nuts for the winter. If you don't prepare on this end, you're going to have a lot of trouble when the time comes that it's not good. So we're kind of in that area right now where it's just a little tough. But I would tell any entrepreneur, if you're don't get into anything that you're not passionate about. If you don't love it on day one, like I was telling somebody the other day, I get as excited right now, 12 years later, about getting a new client as I did back in 2012. And if you can't feel that way while you're doing business, you need to probably look at maybe getting out of it, doing something you do love. But if you don't love it, don't get in it. It's that simple. I know you obviously love the radio. Okay.
Oh yeah, it's a wild ride.
Right. So don't do anything that you're not passionate about. It's just that simple. So.
But that is a good sort of barometer on stepping out. And sometimes your passion can just be doing the right thing for your town, or wanting to see your town as a whole sort of succeed, or, helping, and even not owning it, just getting involved with those that are trying to restore or to set up shop. And we talk about all the time here on Good Things, Will, to eat, shop, play, stay, all the things local. And so when you do that, you are doing your part, even if you're not necessarily the one who pays the bills or has the keys to the storefront. Like, it takes all of us to sort of keep those things alive.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, if you're not supporting your local community, and that's everything from spending your dollars there to volunteering there. And then the simple things, just not if you have a bad experience, how about you not bash the local guy, because he is the local guy that's sponsoring your child's ball team and throws in money for the weekend concert that's out on the green and everything else. It's really being invested in all the people and all the aspects of your community, because at the end of the day, every single one of those people lives there and they're all contributing back to the community. So it's to me, it's a no-brainer. For some people, this is hard for them to fathom.
Wild idea. If you have a bad experience at a restaurant, call and tell the manager before you tell Facebook.
Well,
because if you you do have a terrible experience, it doesn't always need to be swept under the rug. But make sure that you try to handle it in house before
crazy concepts.
Crazy concepts in that way. Somewhere on the line too, though, Will, you decided to start a podcast. Where did you think that what did you feel like you needed to say that you couldn't, that wasn't out there?
I think about that every time I cut the mics on. But
what's the name of your podcast?
We did a lot of focus groups on this, and we came up with the Will Bradham podcast. It's very original.
Did your kids come up with that?
Yeah. I wrote it down in crayon on a piece of paper.
Why did you feel like you needed a podcast?
I don't know. I'll say this: when I got more time with my children and I moved over to Oxford, I realized that between the hours of 8 and 2. I was bored out of my mind sitting in my house. So I had a friend of mine that suggested, she said, why don't you do a podcast? So then I bought this little bit of equipment, and now it's a pretty sizable amount of equipment that I have to carry around in like 2 suitcases. But we have a blast. My nephew, Vance, and his wife, Avery, get on there, and we'll bring on some of their friends. I do interviews. It's just fun. I'm not monetizing it. I did get a check from Spotify for $3.81 2 months ago.
I think you should invest that.
It cost me more to take it to the bank.
Your privacy and respect out of those while you think about what to do with your earnings.
You'd be amazed the churches and charities that have called me up wanting to get a piece of that $3.81. But
what's
the
conversations about? Is it about just business in the Delta, or what are we talking about?
And when it started out, it was a lot of politics, and then it has morphed into we just sit on there and talk about just current events that are going on, stuff that's happening locally, stuff that's happening globally. We drink while we're doing it.
They won't let me do that here.
Isn't that a shame?
I know. I've tried to get a Bloody Mary tour for me and Rhino, but it just keeps getting shot down.
Well,
there's when you actually get on statewide radio, it's the FCC and all these rules and regulations. Can you believe it, Will?
I had to remember I couldn't cuss. So
no, you can't.
We
do have a dump button, but
thank God. We need to. Yeah, it would be nothing but dump button going on if this was a regular. But one of our favorite listeners, his name is Lonnie Earl Dodd. Yes, he sends us almost every week. He sends me a big half gallon of Tito's or this other vodka called Deep Eddies, but he sends it over to us. And that's kind of
to get the conversation started.
He does it almost every other week. Yeah,
it sounds awesome. Like you're having fun. I also hear you're a big foodie, so you're in a good place in terms of Mississippi. What is it about Mississippi's food scene that excites you, Will?
I have always said this about restaurants in our area or in the whole state. It seems like everything's a destination, which makes it that much better because it's just not. I'm not a big. Even though I have a chain restaurant, I'm not a chain restaurant guy. So I love to see the mom and pops, because I worked in that world for so long, succeed. It just, to me, it means more when it's coming out of one of their kitchens, and because they're tied to it and they really care about what they're pumping out. So,
what's one of the mom and pops that you wish more people would go visit? Our Good Things listeners love good food.
Oh, man.
Especially if it's local.
Yeah, don't put me on the spot. I've got a lot of favorite restaurants. Some of my favorites in Cleveland area, one that I worked at in college, and the man who owned it I loved to death was Crawdads in Marigold, Mississippi. Just a hole in the wall in a small town. I like a New York strip. They don't do one, so I usually get a ribeye, or I'll get they have a red snapper dish that I love up there. It's fantastic.
Is that restaurant still open and thriving?
Oh yeah, they're jamming. Yeah, rocking and rolling. I stopped by there. It's been about a month ago. But yeah, that's just because that's the place I worked that got me through college and paid for college. So love it there. It's a great spot.
I also saw where you were inducted into the Delta State Hall of Fame in 2019. What was that for? Yeah,
they ran out of people. I think I just gave a big enough check, maybe. I don't know. They just said for service to the university, and I'm very humbled about it. So yeah, it was a big deal.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
Will.
Thanks. Yeah.
I feel like, what keeps you giving back? What is it about your community that you love so much that you just feel like it's still worth investing in and fighting for?
This sounds bananas, but I keep thinking in the back of my mind that other people are going to see it and decide to jump on board, because I think there's a lot of people that kind of give up on certain areas and they just say, whatever. And I can't do it. I know the people. I love the people. They've supported me for all these years, and I'm going to do it until I can't do it anymore. So,
well, when you open up business 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, you are welcome back to
They're
good
coming.
things. Where can we find your podcast and you online, Will?
It's on Spotify and Apple, the Will Bradham Podcast. You'll love it.
All righty. And look, shark what? Shark did what? Nobody just...
Did somebody save a shark?
Thank you, Will. Y'all stick with us. We got more for you coming up next.